Kirk Herbstreit had a lot of things to say about the Georgia Bulldogs Saturday night. They were knocking out the Texas Longhorns, 25-point win, Matt. But one thing stuck out to you about what Kirk had to say, and we're going to get into that right now.
Yeah, during the fourth quarter when Georgia was blowing out Texas, Kirk Herbstreit said, we've seen Georgia about 4 times now this year, and it was something along the lines of they might be the most improved team in the country. And he was talking about the differences. I guess they saw them, Ryan, against Tennessee. I know they were there for that Alabama game, but when Georgia was getting pressure and they were making a lot of plays and seriously dominating the final 15 minutes. He said they are so much more improved. We've seen them a good amount this year, and they look better and better and better. And I think the conversation went from there, talking about how Georgia, again, something that we talked about too. You don't want to play this Georgia team right now. They're healthy and they are improving. They're rolling offensively, Ryan, but that defense is really starting to improve.
They've got everybody's attention right now. I mean, they have been the talk of college football for the last few days since that fourth quarter happened. And I think, Alabama falling a little bit, losing Oklahoma helps, and Georgia slides up now. And it looks like it's a team that's in very good position to have a first round bye kind of no matter what if it wins out in the regular season. So I think that when you combine Kirby, you combine the talent, you combine the way that they're playing right now. Pretty much everyone out there is saying you don't want to play this Georgia team heading into the college football playoff, and it's kind of a notion that we've seen with Georgia in the past, and they've got that momentum right now, and they've got a good opportunity to keep that momentum going.
I was talking with Ryan a second ago, and Matt and I will talk about it this weekend. This is a time of year where now I have to start looking at travel and what the situation is. I was just telling Ryan the sort of worst case scenario is Miami, Phoenix, Miami. I don't think you want to play Georgia right now, but I think that Ohio State, for their even with their lack of schedule, y'all, I think they're a very good team. Seems like Indiana is. Georgia certainly could get Texas Tech pretty quick, or Texas A&M could get Texas Tech pretty quick. Texas Tech matches up physically with some of these teams pretty well. But I think I've gotten to know some of the people in broadcasting just from goofing around at all these games, and they've covered this team 4 times. They got Georgia, Florida, Georgia, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, and then Georgia, Texas. They did not do Georgia, Ole Miss, if I'm not mistaken. That was maybe the number 3 team or the number 2 team, which Sean McDonough and company. And I think that in this case, y'all, I mean, they had them for the Tennessee game, which was not the first week of the season, but virtually. And now they had them for Texas, which is not the last week, but virtually. So the first and last conference games, I think they have improved. I think playing Ole Miss, Matt, is one thing. Playing Tennessee is another thing. But I think the defense has gotten better. I think that when you talk to insiders at Georgia, the thing that they note more than anything is the defense has gotten better. The offense has been pretty good for a while.
Yeah, and they have gotten more and more confidence with each win, and that may have started in Knoxville with the come from behind victory. And they started to, realize that, hey, we are dominating everyone, Ryan, in the fourth quarter. And they started to realize their identity, and they're playing with more and more confidence each week. Now, last year, I don't know if Ohio State was the most improved team going into the playoffs because they just lost to Michigan, but they were the hottest team. And right now, Georgia is one of the hottest teams. And if you look at what they've done over the past, 9, 10 weeks, they're absolutely one of the more improved teams. You can't say that Texas A&M has improved after what we saw last week. Alabama has not improved. Miami certainly hasn't improved.
Indiana.
Ohio State, Indiana have kind of stayed where they're at. Really, really good football teams. But if you look at the rankings, you're pointing at Georgia, Ryan, and say, yeah, I don't see another team that has improved more and more than the Georgia Bulldogs.
I think that they're just playing their best football right now, right? I mean, we knew this was Georgia, I think, the whole time, and we knew that they were
When did you
capable of
feel
doing
that way,
this.
Ryan? When did you kind of because
There were
we
only
have
two
this.
games where the defense, really didn't. I mean, we didn't view this Texas offense as some juggernaut or Mississippi State or Florida or Auburn or anything like that. There were 2 games where offenses gave them problem against Ole Miss and Tennessee, and those are some of the most explosive offenses in college football. I think now you're just kind of seeing it all come together, and they're getting a little bit easier matchups here in November, but certainly the eye test, it feels more dominant these last couple of weeks, and that's where I think the improvement comes from. If they played Ole Miss in November, I don't know if it would look the same or not with how they're playing. I think that they're getting a little bit more pressure on the quarterback, and that's an improvement. I think the DBs are playing a little bit better. I think you could certainly point to the defense and say there are little pieces that are doing a little bit better. But like I don't know which one of y'all were saying. The offense has been this all year. They've had the capability to explode. We've seen explosive days against Tennessee, against Ole Miss, against Mississippi State, against Texas. Now half these games they've had very explosive days on offense, and Georgia's kind of a chameleon in the way it can win games in different ways. It can choke you out. It can have a really big day on either side of the ball. But I think they just happen to be playing their best football right now in most complete games. But this was in there the whole time.
Yeah, and I got a question for the two of them after this. Let Sales Hatch help you and your company get where you want to go. What does Sales Hatch do? It's a Roswell-based company. They're going to, for small business owners, they're going to connect you with the people that you need to connect to that make your leads, your sales go where they got to go. They're going to deliver for you on those things so that you can concentrate on running your business. Okay, not just in your business, working on your business. Sales Hatch can help you with that. That's not an easy thing to do. Reach out to Sales Hatch today. You see the QR code on the screen. Man, I think the question is, I think the problem right now, y'all, in the grand scheme of things, is it is hard to know with Ohio State particularly. Now, we'll know after the Michigan game. It's hard to know with Ohio State particularly if they have gotten better. I think they have, because I don't think they would beat Texas by a touchdown this time, but I don't know that they would beat them by 25 points. So everyone's not starting at the same moment, and so the improvement. So this is all somewhat theoretical in the grand scheme of things, Matt. But my question to you is this: I mean, I think the answer for you would be the Texas game. But if you'll answer these two questions back to back, and then we'll roll to Ryan. Matt, when did you think 21 was going to win the national championship, and then when did you think 22 was going to win the national championship?
In 2021, I thought they were going to win the national championship when Stetson Bennett hit Brock Bowers to go up 8. I mean, I thought
okay.
probably then. I knew they were capable of it. I didn't know. That was the first time where I said, I think they're going to win it.
Okay.
But they all showed that defense was dominant.
Maybe this is a 4-answer question. When did you think they could win it? When did you know that they would? Let's do it that way with both those seasons.
You saw a glimpse of it in the Clemson game, but I think it was the Arkansas just dominant blowout. I said, okay, this team right here could be special, and they really can win it. And then what was this other question?
Well, you answered it already, which was when they went up 8. What about in 22? What are the two there? When did you think they could win it, and when did you know they would?
Probably the game 1 going into it,
Yeah.
thinking, I knew they would beat Oregon down, Ryan, but then when they beat them by 40, 50, 60 points, whatever it was, that's when okay, this team could go back to back, and that's what happened.
Ryan?
Yeah, it was Arkansas in 21 when I was really I texted you about it that day. I remember sending you a text about how they were going to win it all after that game. It was just the through and through dominance in all 3 phases against a team that at that moment we thought could have been one of the 10 best teams in college football, ended up not being. Um, the Clemson game was a little early for me just because the offense was so bad that day. We knew that Clemson had a lot of talent on defense, but the offense was so bad. And then the Oregon game, I mean, it was instant. Dominating a very talented team like that, just from start to finish. We talked a lot that offseason about how Georgia was going to have the capability of going back to back and how that roster had a lot of returning players and a lot of studs on it. So it wasn't really a surprise, but it was just confirmed day one. So both of those years, I was confident Georgia was going to have a really good chance for most of the season.
What about in 21? When did you know they would win it in 21?
In 21, the Arkansas game.
When did you know they would?
When did I know for
When did
sure?
you think you thought in Arkansas? When did you know?
I was pretty confident once they got into the playoff. I mean, I thought they would win a rematch against Alabama, and I didn't think they were going to lose to Michigan. So I suppose I'd say when they got seeded number 3.
So for me, I was actually a week earlier than y'all for the 21 team. But I was in Nashville, and when they scored 35 points in the first quarter against Vanderbilt, I was like, these guys are going to do it. I mean, these guys are just too good. And then, of course, I think there was a lot of trepidation after the SEC championship loss For me, it was not until Keeley was running down the sideline that it was certain, because I'd seen this play a couple too many times. I think for me, the Oregon game for sure, but it was the Carolina game as a backup, like 2 weeks later, where they were just pile driving South Carolina over and over again. I think when did you know? It was when that ball looked really wrong coming off Bro's foot in the Ohio State game. And I think it is possible you should have this discussion now. I think for me, it was not the Texas game. It was probably before that. I don't know that I can nail down when it was. It might be these last 3 weeks. We don't know yet, and it might not happen. That's the thing. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think it's tougher this season
Yeah.
because they're not quite as dominant, and the whole landscape of college football is tighter, and there are a lot of tighter games. You got flashes, coming back against Tennessee, winning the
But
way
it
that
can't
they
be the
did.
punch out against
But
Auburn.
no, and then the way that they beat Ole Miss, I mean, you're down 9 in the fourth quarter, and you come back, and I can't remember the exact number they scored in the fourth quarter, I think 17 or something around that to win. They've had moments throughout the year where you say this is a championship caliber team. It's just not as clear as it felt those actual championship years. And then even in 2023, there was a lot of dominance throughout that season where we felt it was November against Tennessee on the road in 2023 is when I thought, okay, the three-peat is really in play here when Carson Beck was carving up that defense and they just eased their way to that win. It hasn't felt that way this season. Doesn't mean that they can't. I think that this Texas game and the dominance kind of puts it on more people's mind.
Well, for me this year, the play that reminded me that Georgia can absolutely win it all is probably in the middle of the Mississippi State game when I saw Kirby Smart just out coach
Yeah.
Bro on the sidelines. And then it clicked. You know what? This guy knows how to win. He's done it a couple times, and we're seeing him coach in kind of a different way. They've been very aggressive this year, maybe slightly too aggressive against Alabama, but they have been very good on fourth down. And just the way he's coaching and the strategy and the way Mike has that offense humming with Gunnar Stockton. When Kirby Smart outcoached Bro in the Mississippi State game and then the onside kick, it keeps coming back to me like, okay, they know something that maybe the rest of us don't still. This team could be really special, and Kirby Smart is going for it. He wants to win it with this group. He loves this team, and we're seeing that a lot.
All right. Thanks for watching.